Well, good morning, guys. Good morning. I'm Shanu with InoKinetic. Thank you all for coming. I think, I've seen several of you guys at some of our technical seminars. We're excited, about this one because this is an area of cars that, frankly, it does get consumed and wore out, but we don't often think about it. And I'm very fortunate to have met Todd Boucher, who's going to be our speaker today. Several years ago, Todd moved here from Orange County. He's been in the upholstery business for over 25 years. Okay, but he moved his operation from Orange County here to the Valley, which is wonderful because we needed some more options. And as you guys are about to see, he does really wonderful work. There's a few cars here that have, like the seat that is in the blue Elise right here, Todd did. The seats that are in this car and the dashboard in this in our 111 RS, the red Elise here that's got the Eddie Van Halen roof. Have a peek at the dashboard there and the passenger seat, particularly the passenger seat. Take a real peek at that, all the different materials that are on it. I know it looks like a black monochromatic seat, but it actually is multiple different materials. Have a peek at that and see if you can get a feel for his work, okay? So without further delay, let me introduce my friend Todd Boucher, and he's going to talk to us about upholstery. All right, Todd? Okay.
So the stopwatch, so I don't go too long. Like Shanu said, my name is Todd Boucher, and I want to again thank Shanu and all the guys and gals at InoKinetic for having us out and hosting this for all you guys. It's I'm sure tough to get to here on a Saturday after long weeks and stuff, and open up
in August when it's so hot.
Right, and open up your beautiful shop. So looking forward to the big ass fan. So
yes. Next year, I hope.
Yes. Okay, so we'll just kind of jump right into it. This is going to be Auto Upholstery 101. It's not going to be a teaching class. We're going to be teaching you guys how to sew, but it's just more of an overview of different materials that we use, what materials are, what they're not, what people perceive them as. So hopefully just kind of give some more facts. So in that, 25 years that I've been in doing this, I've made great relationships with some of the best vendors. And Stephanie was asking some of the local vendors that we do use. And we use people, local ones are going to be Veteran Company, GAHH, and Keeson Brothers. And most of them, they'll import leather and exotic materials from Europe. And then some of them manufacture them themselves here in the States. Apex Leather out of the Carolinas, real great leather. The feel of it is pretty phenomenal, and we'll kind of go over a little bit of what that is as well. So we did bring a few samples. Again, you guys can feel free to come up, touch them, smell them, all the stuff that that leather is, and just to show what an actual hide is. This is a hide of leather. I mean, just how actually big they are. So many people think, oh, leather is how many yards of leather is it going to take? It's not measured in yards; it's measured in hides, which ends up being square footage. Leather usually is from like 45 to 55 square feet. Is going to be a pretty big hide.
So basically, that's one cow right there.
Yeah. So and then we're going to talk about that. Like, there's not a cow just cruising around with no skin on. So, and so during those years, we also do convertible tops, which is kind of a real niche industry. They literally could be two different things. It could be auto upholstery and convertible tops. Somehow they do combine themselves. I'm the only one at the shop that does convertible tops, personally, because basically I was taught by a master, Mike Romo, out in Orange County. And his shop is Mike's Auto Tops and Upholstery, mainly, again, focusing on the auto top part of it. And so, learning that niche skill from basically hand-fitting 1940s cars to more modern cars, that the more modern cars have a pre-fit top, pre-made, pre-manufactured. And we usually use GHH, which is a company local out of North Hollywood. It was founded in 1979, huge manufacturing. Again, all manufactured here in America. And then Robbins Auto Tops is pretty much the biggest in the industry, starting in 1943. and they're out of the valley somewhere. And with them, they offer over 500 different convertible tops, tonneau covers, glass window conversions on certain cars. Some of the Porsches could go from a plastic window to a glass window conversion, which is kind of unique, and a lot of people don't even know about that. And then tonneau covers and all the different stuff like that. And again, both Robbins and GHH, they're going to be using the same OE material that all the manufacturers use, which is a Hartz brand. And so they get it from literally the same mill that BMW is going to get it from, Mercedes, or anybody like that. And Hartz, they're the biggest in the industry. They've been in business since 1922 and do everything from convertible top textiles to military and law enforcement as well. So we'll go ahead and jump into what are the most popular common materials in the upholstery world. What would you guys say in more of like a high-end car? What is the most common material? Anybody?
Leather, Alcantara.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a mixture of all those, but right now we're gonna talk about leather. I think that's the most common. And so kind of like we talked about, that leather, it's a byproduct of meat and the dairy industry. So it's not, again, these cows just getting killed just for their skin. So this guy right here. Oh, I don't know what type of cow that is besides one that I'd be running from if I ever saw that thing. It was more just a fun.
Is that like an AI generator? Is that
I don't know.
cow?
I don't know. I looked at a ton of images.
That's an actual cow?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So yeah, he's probably gonna be in the 65 square foot big guy.
That's the Schwarzenegger of cows right
For
there.
real.
Yeah.
So again, leather's a byproduct of the meat and dairy industry. The hide is a secondary product in this industry that would otherwise go to waste. So a high quality leather can last decades with proper care and maintenance. Unlike most synthetic vinyl, which is made from plastic. So, in my opinion, it's more eco-friendly because again, it will actually break down over time. It's a byproduct. It's not a man-made product from plastic. But again, that's a kind of a whole nother conversation of what's more eco-friendly for sure. Okay, we'll start with the process of leather and how it is actually produced. Starting with the raw hide selection, only high quality hides with minimal scarring, stretch marks. Again, being a natural product, you'll see bug bites, barbed wire, branding in leather. And that's when you have these giant hides, it's our job to inspect them really well and not get a brand that's kind of sunken underneath the skin that you're not going to see until you start pulling it tight. Which is kind of crazy though, just being able to see the different lives that these things live. It's kind of neat, I think. So they start with soaking the hides. They soak in water to remove salt and rehydrate the skin. And then they go right into the liming, which is lime and other chemicals are added to loosen up the hair and the fibers. And then fleshing, which is kind of a gnarly term on it, but that's the mechanical process of removing the extra flesh and fat from it. And then dehairing, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's either chemically or mechanically removed. And then deliming and bathing, which is basically lowers the pH of the leather. And they add enzymes to soften the hide and break down some of the proteins. And the result is a clean, soft hide. And then basically step 2 is the tanning process. The pelts or hides are placed in drums, and those drums, they basically spin these huge drums, and this basically helps make the leather water resistant, heat stable, and flexible. Bless you. After the tanning process, the hide turns to a bluish color called wet blue. And then from there you go into splitting and shaving. The hides are split horizontally. And then the top grain, which is what we're going to be seeing and what we use in the automotive world, is again the top grain. And then split grain is going to be the lower grades leather, suede type material to use on all kinds of other purses and other stuff like that. And then from there, they're shaved down or skived to even thickness. Leather for cars is usually about 1 to 1.5 millimeter is pretty standard. And then from there, we get into the chemical side of basically retanning, dyeing, and then retanning, they're adding chemicals for strength, flexibility, or softness, and then vat dyeing, which is a full penetration of dye that ensures the color is embedded throughout. So like this one, you can see, this cow doesn't have red skin to start with. So again, this is all put in a big drum, and then it's impregnated. Because there's also where they do a top coat where they spray it on, which is still a fine process and standard process, but doing the vat dyeing, I believe, is the best. So basically with all this part of it, this stage is what gives it the hand or the feel of it, the firmness and the color of the leather. And then from there, we get into drying it, and this is how all leather is dried exactly like this slide. This lady with a hair dryer comes out. Not really. So leather is vacuum dried or air dried normally. This ensures that all the moisture is removed and the leather flattens and stabilizes. And then from there we get into some of the critical parts that is very important in the automotive leather. A protective coating is applied for UV resistance, abrasion resistance, stain and moisture resistance as well. And then it may include pigments for even coloring, polyurethane top coats for extra durability, and embossed grains if the natural grain is inconsistent. So most leather, excluding like some of the Nappas, are kind of a drum roll to give it that texture. Each manufacturer, if it's Chevy, they have a distinct grain. Ford, they all have their own distinct grain, which is just something that they create. So again, with that last part of it, this is a layer. This layer is why the automotive leather, feels different than fashion leather. It's built to perform under extreme conditions, and then basically, that's leather. And then the next thing I heard you guys talking about was vinyl, some common things in the automotive. And so vinyl, you can see it here, this is roll, so this is cut in yardage. Usually standard is about 54 inches wide by about as much as you want. So same thing with like a PPF film and stuff, right?
Yep. Manufactured in these large jumbo rolls.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then basically same type of thing of how leather is made. It starts with the mixing and coloring. It's from raw PVC and PU resins that are mixed with plasticizers, stabilizers, and other color pigments, of course, to give it the color. And then spreading or extruding the vinyl. The vinyl is a mixture that's spread over a release paper or cast onto a fabric. And then from there is the texturing, just like leather. You have big rolls that go and make the grain. And there they go from the curing process. The vinyl is heated and cooled to lock in texture and durability. And laminating, again, this is a real important part for the auto upholstery side. The vinyl sheet is laminated to a textile backing for strength and flexibility. This gives it where when we run our machines and our needles through it, that backing helps keep it nice and tight as opposed to just pulling through the vinyl, especially if it gets hot and stuff like that. And then from there, it's the finishing. Top coats with UV inhibitors and antimicrobial agents are added, which is something they do with vinyl that I don't know of any leather to do that. So that's why vinyl is very popular in hospitality and commercial use. So there's definitely some benefits of leather, or vinyl over leather. And then it's scratch resistance is applied in that same same step. And then some of the Some of the pros of automotive vinyl: cost effective, a lot cheaper than leather, highly durable, resists cracking, fading, and moisture, especially better than leather. I think leather, the biggest enemy to leather is moisture. Spilling something on it. Spoke with Lee about that, especially on the perforated leather. Perforated leather breathes a lot better, but if you go and spill your big gulp in there and you just let it sit there, you're going to be in some trouble. Where, again, vinyl, wipe it up and on your way. And then you've got really consistent color in vinyl. Some of the cons, you guys probably could all think of some of the cons of vinyl. It could feel hot and sticky in the summertime, cold and stiff in the winter. It's less breathable than leather, and then may crack or peel over time, especially in direct sunlight. We see this a lot in the RV world. RVs, they really try to have like a soft, supple vinyl, but it's just inferior, and we do so many RVs of
Peels.
Yeah, you could have $500,000 pusher in there, and X amount of years old, and it's already just peeling like crazy. And then again, another con for the vinyl: it is non-biodegradable because again, it's made from plastics. And then one of the third most highly common material, again, more in sports cars, so we're not talking Priuses and everything else, is going to be Alcantara. Alcantara is a premium synthetic suede. Suede-like material widely used in high-end performance-oriented automotive interiors. It's also known for its luxurious feel, lightweight, grip-enhancing texture, which I think is going to be important to you guys, especially on steering wheels, seats, headliners, and dashboards. And then Alcantara. People, have you guys all heard the term Alcantara? Okay. Alcantara is an actual trademark brand name, but people use it so widely in the industry. It's like Kleenex or Velcro, as opposed to hook and loop or tissues. It's just a brand name that people just use. So it's got a proprietary microfiber, which is primarily made from polyester and polyurethane. And then basically how Alcantara is made, definitely it's a unique procedure. Microfiber production of polyester and polyurethane that we just talked about are combined with ultrafine fibers, which are finer than silk. It's a non-woven fabric, so the microfibers are needle punched, which use these crazy entangled barbed needles to basically form and give it that soft feel. And then coagulation, the material is soaked in the polyurethane solution, which gives it some durability and flexibility. And then just like the leather or the vinyl, the dyeing and finishing product, it's dyed throughout the fibers so the color doesn't fade easy. And then it's sanded or buffed to create that signature suede-like matte to it. And then optional treatments for the Alcantara. For automotive use, it's often treated with UV protection, stain resistance, and flame retardants. And they've even come out over the last X amount of years with one that they call their Alcantara EXO, which is used in a lot of marine applications now, in boats, which really help with the UV protection. A lot of these big boy river boats, DCBs and everybody else are switching to that for, not going and sitting on a hot, sticky vinyl seat in 118-degree weather out in Havasu or whatever.
Yeah, in fact, our Draken, if you look at the interior on the Draken, you'll see some of that marine-grade Alcantara.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. And then some of the pros of Alcantara in the automotive use: it's soft, suede-like texture that we all love, grippy, perfect for racing or sporty driving. And what I really love about the Alcantara is for the dashboards and the glare. It cuts down glare over any other material, which is really going to be, I think, important for weekend carving, the canyons or track days, stuff like that. It's lightweight, way lighter than leather and vinyl. You don't really think about the weight being an issue, but if you guys want to come up and try to pick that thing up, it's heavy. And then the fade resistance, even under UV exposure, breathable, a lot more comfortable than leather or vinyl. And then another pro is animal-free, completely synthetic, vegan. And then from there, we get into some of the cons of Alcantara. It could be more expensive than both vinyls and some leathers. Alcantara could be ranging depending on if it's laminated. There's again a few different ways of doing it with foam backing, etc. It could be $155 or more a yard. Again, that's 36 inches by 54 inches wide, 60 inches on some of that Alcantara actually. And then some of the other cons are cleaning. You need regular maintenance to prevent the matting and staining, especially on steering wheels. The oil from your hands, it could go pretty quickly if you don't clean it. They have specific cleaning instructions for Alcantara brand. You can find it on their website, but no harsh chemicals. They'll even talk about doing water and lemon juice in it to clean it. So some natural cleaners, and then drying it afterwards and stuff like that. But I don't know. I'd say enough of the boring facts. Let's get to some pictures of some work that we've done. Okay.
So Todd, to rejuvenate matted down Alcantara, wash with water with lemon juice, but do you use any brass brushes, or how do you bring the nap back?
Sure. Definitely not a brass brush.
Okay.
But we use anything that we do any of our cleaning with, and we're not detailed by trade. If someone brings their stuff in, we're replacing it. It's usually too far gone. But horsehair brushes are really good for that. But again, with Alcantara, they have on their website cleaning procedures. They even have a weekly, yearly maintenance type of thing, like you do waxing your car as well. So yes, horsehair brush, some water, a little bit of lemon. They do sell specific cleaners from Alcantara. Are they worth it? But keep it clean, keep the oils off of that. Even if it's just after a quick track day, wipe it down with a microfiber towel with some water on it, and then let it dry completely. And then from there, a nice horsehair brush to bring that nap back without agitating it too much, of course. But good question.
Well, I know it seems a bit pretentious, but driving gloves makes a big difference in keeping you from transferring oil from your hand and dirt onto Alcantara wheels. So, yeah, it's even on the street.
And some people, driving, I drive more the off-road scene and stuff, and I like the feel. I want to feel the steering wheel. I don't like you're doing the crossover and stuff. I'm not a fan of gloves, but driving gloves is a way to save the steering wheel as well. Any other questions on how any of those products are made, or what's best, better, worse?
Is there a difference in the preparation for automotive grade leather than there is for motorcycle jackets?
Yeah, that I probably couldn't touch on that a ton, but there definitely is some of those procedures we talked about are definitely for automotive use only. Cleaning procedures, the same thing. Being a natural product, you are going to want to condition it, keep it hydrated, keep it clean. So yeah, that's important.
Yeah, good motorcycle leather is way tougher. It's a bit stiffer until it breaks in. So yeah, there's that constant challenge, right? Trying to create something that's supple enough for automotive use, so when you're sitting on it, it doesn't feel so stiff. But on a motorcycle, when you go for a skid on the concrete, that leather's got to hold up. And so they use different materials for that.
So it's thicker too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
Good jackets. Okay, good jacket. There's a lot of fashion motorcycle jackets out there that are just useless, but a proper motorcycle leather, it's gonna be thicker.
Agreed. Good question.
Well, I have a question.
Sure.
The hide is the hide behind you.
Okay.
Is two different sides. One used wood, is that felt side?
So when people think suede, most people that I come in contact with, they think, oh, suede's just the backside of leather.
Yeah.
Suede, again, is a more general term that just kind of got used and stuck. But all automotive suede is going to be the Alcantara or microfiber, which is produced, created like we talked about with those needles and the fine silk like textiles. So because it's just not treated the same, you don't want to have this as an exposed product in it because of, again, the different UVs that they put on the exterior.
As long as it's one side to use.
Yes. Yeah, there's certainly a couple BMWs that I know of where a rear seat will fold and where it's leather on leather, because you can't get a little bit of squeaking leather on leather. And so, and that's very, very small amount of vehicles to do that. But I will see them do exactly what you said, use the backside of it. But you'll see a significant difference in, especially with the sun, how much it fades and turns to a green color and stuff like that.
Mm.
Yeah.
What process or what stage of preparation do you get like a whole pebble texture versus the smooth texture? For example, the hide behind you is just like smooth. The example you have here on the table has like that pebble texture.
Sure.
Where in the process does the texture and bottom?
Yeah, that was one of those last steps where they use a big drum to do a texture to it. A Napa is usually going to be some of the cleanest hides, and that's going to usually be a natural grain. And again, with that, you'll see some bud bites. You'll see all kinds of little stuff like that. And they do some fillers in it to smooth it out in certain parts with new leather. But this being more of a Napa natural grain. And then, yeah, from there, there's some really, really heavy grains. But again, there's not one wrinkly cow walking around. That's all something that this company decided to do. I usually like to go with the more smooth Napa ones. That's just my personal preference. But
is there like a structural difference between, say, like if there's existing stretch marks or scar tissue to overall durability of the leather?
I mean, yeah, in it like an actual scar on it, a barbed wire scar or whatever it is, will usually be a little bit thinner. There's going to be scar tissue just like us. So if you have a scar, usually you can feel it's a little bit thinner skin. So those are what we try not to use in it. So on this hide, you don't yield every single square foot of this hide. We'll go through with a silver pen and mark all the imperfections on it and try to stay away from that. Luckily, with our seats, nothing's square, right? So that being said, we could fit and move all of our patterns around those imperfections.
So Todd,
Yeah,
in the future when I build my EV rat rod,
yeah.
can I get a hide that has all the defects in it, like brands and scars, because I want it to be kind of like patina?
Yeah,
Can you buy a hide like that?
I've seen some stuff like that. Like some of the King Ranch Fords, they use a leather like that. It doesn't have the same finishing in it. It doesn't wear amazing, but it's like they want it to be like a baseball glove where it actually breaks in.
Yeah.
And it will look literally different. And every 6 months, it's going to change and look a little bit different. And so with that, you can have some branding in those and stuff like that too.
I'm with you, Chanel. Right? Because like even like natural wood, you want the knots and the works. Consistency.
And then we've used, on a couple things on Friends type stuff, hair on leather even to do bar stool and stuff like that. You can make some bar stools, and kind of a unique thing, a little different, but using maybe a little bit of that kind of be neat and a little homage to what actually leather is, because people kind of get away from what leather actually is. It is a natural product, and it is something that you do want to care for, because again, it was a live animal at some point. So I think it's important to keep it up on maintenance and having these things last for a long time. Yeah.
Trying to follow up on Shanu's comment. 7 years ago, I had my seats redone on my 91 Miata. I told the upholsterer I want that leathery smell, that buttery kind of smell like you get in like 1930s, 1940s luxury coachwork, coupes or whatever, Bentleys or Bugatti.
Agreed.
I can't find that damn smell anymore. Like, what is the process to get that old school smell that when you get into the car, it's got that buttery old school leather?
Sure, good question. And I mean, it depends. The more leather, of course, the more you're going to have that. Miata with just 2 seats, and depending on the seats, sometimes, most times, it's a combination of vinyl and leather. So there might not be that much leather when it comes down to it, and then quality of leather. And you guys are more than welcome to come up like a bunch of weirdos and smell this.
Yeah.
But this, my Chevy truck out there came with leather from the factory. Doesn't have a smell to it. But I had this leather and this leather in there overnight. And I opened up my truck this morning. I was like, I smell leather. And I've never smelled leather in that truck.
And I noticed like new Mercedes, they have that distinct leather smell too. But it's not like the old school culture leather.
Yeah, I would say definitely quality of it. Apex, I think, would probably has, again, this is one of like the softest, the hand they call it. This is some of the softest leather that, yeah, please, that we like and that we work with.
Not bad.
Yeah.
I'm not smelling anybody's ass.
Yeah. I was actually the foreskin. But yeah, so I think quality of leather, you're going to get a little bit more of that smell and, you know, the European stuff. You know,
I mean, what are they doing different? Is it the quality, how much leather is in the car, or is there a different tanning process or oils they put in the leather?
It's probably a little bit combination of all that. Of course, the quantity of it, the newer the cars, the less leather they have. Again, my Chevy truck Outback, it's sold as a leather trimmed interior. Front seats have leather face on it, which is going to be the body contact. The sides and the back are all vinyl. Very, very industry standard. Fine with that. Rear seats 100% vinyl. No leather on them at all. Some of the new Fords, they'll have just the insert leather. And I mean, people will like yell at me. I'll be like, "Oh, hey, you know, this bolster wore out on your Subaru. You know, it's X amount to replace it. You know, we replace that vinyl." And boom, like, "No, that's leather." I'm like, "Oh, no. You know, this is part's leather. This is vinyl." No. The person that sold me the car said it's their leather seats. Like the salesman told you that what you wanted to hear, and but people like upset at me. I'm like, I'm just telling you what's in there. So I think it's a combination of all that. Not a leather for sure.
Yeah.
And then quality of leather, and then I don't think certain brands are going to have like, oh, let's add a little bit of smell to it. I think it is just the natural product of leather.
Yeah, all materials inside a car, you know, whether it's a synthetic or a natural material, is going to have this phenomenon called outgassing, right? So these vapors are coming off. That's what you're smelling. Okay, so you know the Christmas tree you can hang from your rearview mirror, right? When you first put it in, it's quite effective because it's outgassing at a high concentration. But over time, it just starts to fade. So the same thing is happening. And probably the fact that it's a Miata, it's an open top car, you know, the vapors just leave. If it's enclosed, like in a little coupe, then you're going to get that smell for a longer period of time. So probably all those things are having an effect.
Yeah, you know, in a hot rod, we could use 4, 5, 6 hides of leather in it, and that's a lot of leather. It's a lot of leather. And those are the cars that you know walk by at a car show, and you know you're walking up to it, and you can smell it coming out of it. And that's definitely one of mine. It is a thing. I like it, but yeah, not every leather does that.
I think I have the answer for you. It's a temporary fix. We'll talk after.
I've had people like, "Hey, do we have any extra leather?" I'm like, "Yeah, we got a little bit. Can we just stuff it under my seat?" They want that. I'm like, "Sure." You know?
Actually, look, you got all those scraps, man.
Right, exactly.
Look, you could sell all those
I
scraps.
was gonna say you got
Right?
a lot.
Run it or shredder,
Yeah, what is
sell
it?
it. There we go.
Yeah, it's just,
Something for my kids to do.
there you go.
Yeah. So you get marking it out, patterning it, then we sew it on the foam. Some people will laminate it, glue it onto foam. We do that in certain parts, but I'm not a huge fan. Usually we like to take that extra step and stitch around the entire perimeter of every single piece. then cut it out again for the second time. But that gives it where, because again, leather being a natural product, heating, shrinking, all the stuff that it will do, when it's bonded to foam, it's going to have some creases and stuff like that that's kind of tough to get rid of. So there's certain times that we do have to bond it to the vinyl or the leather. So yeah, we go from that to a final product of an actual seat here. And this one again has a mixture of leather, suede. The stitching on there, that's CNC stitching. We could produce that, sure, but nobody's going to pay me to sit on that sewing machine and hand stitch that. We do our own diamonds and stuff still, but from there I send the product out in big sheets to a manufacturer that goes, clamps it, and the machine will go quilt it, CNC stitch it, and then from there I get it cut it into my own patterns. So I'll show you that truck, that truck that came out of it. Shanu's touched on it a couple times on, I don't have a hot rod per se myself, but I'm into like the off-road scene. So this is a truck that we did. This was a YouTube channel called Autotopia LA, if any of you have ever heard them. They do a pretty cool job, right? Yeah. So you guys should check them out if you haven't already. So this right here is the owner of the truck. He's a surfer, lives in Malibu, right? Lives his best life for sure. And this is legitimate $500,000 into this truck. Pretty wild. So again, this is going to be the same truck. This is the Autotopia LA guys. The bald gentleman there is the host of the show, and then Ryan Kibbe is the actual builder of the truck.
And then I'll show you the inside, which gets pretty wild over here.
You gotta be kidding me. Come on.
Just stick your head in there and take a whiff. Tell me what that smells like.
Smells like a Ferrari.
It's important.
Yes, that's
All
genuine Italian leather, so it's not like the cheap stuff. The material alone for the interior was pretty extensive, but Todd at Expert Auto Upholstery, this is the first truck he did for us, and now he's getting all the rest of them because this one came out so good.
Well, dude, this alone. This is you guys doing all this wrapping in your cage work and stuff down here.
Basically, the whole cab was skinned, so we basically only used the rockers and the roof. Basically, there was just a shell. We just put that shell over the truck, and then we sheet metaled it all in. The interior is kind of a mixture of luxury and like the floors is Linex.
Yes.
So you can see again, all the door panels, everything on this truck is leather. And this guy goes out there and uses it down to Mexico, all this stuff. I mean, it's wild. There's videos of this thing going and just blowing through these giant whoops, and he uses it as it's intended.
Question.
Yeah.
They bring it up. They mention Italian leather.
Yeah.
What is the difference between leather we get here in the United States and Italian leather? Why is Italian leather so much better?
I mean, I think it's like anything the Italians do. They do it to their fullest ability, right? And I don't know if there's going to be different. They're able to get away with a little bit more processing that we can't do here in America. But
I mean, is it legitimately better, or is it just better marketing?
That's a good question. I would say legitimately.
Okay.
It's kind of durable,
But I
saturated.
mean, dude, you have an electric actuator for your friggin' seat.
And
Come
then,
on.
yes, there's electric actuators on the two front seats. And then these are actually Sparco seats, which Todd made all of this stuff for us. He even wrapped the hard shell.
Come on.
Suede and leather.
This is so sick. What a killer interior, man.
And then headliner, I didn't want any exposed hardware. And we wanted to see half
That's
the
all a
cage.
suede
Oh,
headliner
that's
as well.
just so cool.
And it's-
So we've had a few different cars on this Autotopia channel. And so here again, being like those pre-runner trucks we do, this is a Toyota Tundra. supercharged V8. Guy mostly uses it for like Glamis type stuff. And oh my goodness. So when a truck like this comes to us from a builder, this is how it usually shows up to us. Which is, it's a blank canvas, which is cool and fun, but kind of intimidating as well. You know, these people want this thing to have like an OE feel. You know, they have all this money into it, and this is where you spend the most amount of your time in these things, is on the inside. This gentleman, he's like, I don't want it to be, you're not going to get away from hiding that there's a roll cage in there, but he wants to be able to take his wife to dinner and then not feel like they're in a race truck. So from, say on this, this is the same Toyota Tundra, we'll go and have the interior 3D scan. This is actual 3D scanning of this. The blue paneling is going to be the headliner that we're creating, all out of 063 aluminum. And with the 3D scanning, this roll cage, it's just protruded down in all the worst areas. And so we want to try to keep headliners and everything up as high as possible for head clearance, if you're going to wear a helmet or not. You know, either way, we just want as much head clearance as possible. So there have to be a lot of relief cuts in there to get that headliner up. And there's kind of a finished product. Where, you know, here we did have to wrap some tubes separately. You can see a little bit of indentation of that headliner sunk in there. You can see some of the tubes, we all hand wrapped them and everything like that. Again, you're not pretending there's no roll cage in there, but just soften it up, make it look a little bit more uniform. This is a passenger side looking at a front A-pillar, same thing, A-pillar. There's a big roll cage that goes all the way down there, so panels all made out of aluminum. This is just showing the fit and finish that we do, where everything goes. This is a factory door seal. Everything goes and fits right back into the factory door seal. And then everything, we try to make as much stuff removable as possible, or if there's ever any issues with wiring or anything like that, they could get in there. This is looking through the front windshield, just showing the backside of the visor. Something you never ever see usually, but again, just all the little details.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Can you print patterns on the leather? For example, I want a tartan type of print pattern on my seats, but I don't want to go cloth because I'll probably destroy cloth within a year. I want that pattern on the leather, like how handbags, like a Burberry handbag has that Burberry tartan pattern.
Right.
Can you do that on a car seat on leather?
Not that I'm aware of. We just did a truck with some tartan in there, and we also finished with the Porsche, same thing, but that's a genuine fabric. There are companies that do laser embossing, but you're still not going to get that exact thing. Could it be created? I'm sure it could, you know, going to a manufacturer, but I couldn't imagine like, hey, I need one hide of leather, and for them to produce one hide just for you on that, it would be some serious money, but I'm sure it's doable.
Now, there's some very specialty upholstery fabric manufacturers and distributors that make tartans, particularly for like Porsche, Volkswagen, you know, like applications. So those are durable enough, I think, for your use.
And they're in cloth only.
Yeah.
That's going to be a cloth, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, tons of Porsches are being done this way. A bunch of new ones that they're trying to make look old with tartans. So that material is out there. It's expensive, but it's going to be durable. Right? For all the reasons that Todd mentioned earlier, all the considerations, you have to treat it in certain ways to make it acceptable for automotive use.
Okay, this one here is a 50-something Corvette vinyl, hot, sticky You can just see it, right? So pretty, this customer wanted pretty unique seats without going too crazy, but we got rid of the whole old school spring system, and basically from here we hand shape all of our own foam to kind of give it some sexy curves to it. You can see here like the bolster. What so many people do, you'll have a flat seat, you add a bolster to it, and now you're gonna have a bolster that sticks up 1, 2, 3 inches, which is just gonna be a wear point getting in and out. You're not gonna be able to get your hip up and over it. So this bolster really pretty much stays on the same plane as the seat, and then the rest of it is the part that's dished out to give it that bolster feel. Which is a pretty big step, but it really makes for a quality seat. It's all done. So this is the same vehicle. And again, you can see the bolstering on it, the dish shape to get you down into the car a little bit as well. This is all leather. We got some perforated leather in there as well. It's kind of hard to see, but. Okay, I'll try to get into a couple more of these and get finished up here. So this is a 51 Ford truck. Very, very beginning process of building. This part came to us, this truck came to us with just a seat frame in there, no foam on it, no nothing. So from there we created our own door panels. So this is kind of the process. Armrest is all routed out of MDF. You can use acrylic, different types of material as well. You kind of see that little gap that I have in there right now. It's right in there. I'll kind of show you what that ends up being. So, and then that's a final finished product of it, you know, where you have the aluminum in there that actually is structural as well. This door panel, you can see there's no exposed hardware. A lot of the panels that we're doing now have magnets to hide screws. So the same thing, this is just like a little trunk, right? So this is just kind of showing just a display of what is possible, and all of it comes apart. So we'll do this type of stuff on hot rods a lot, where somebody wants to hide batteries or fuse panels and stuff like that, where usually on a hot rod we'll make this panel pop right on out, and then boom, you have your battery location, no tools needed to take it apart, and then everything just clips right into place.
That's awesome.
But all this, even like the burl wood and stuff, that is acrylic with kind of a unique paint job to get it to look like that. You can pass those around. And then same thing with these door panels. This kind of shows how modern this is. Again, just a display.
Oh, don't show that to Lee.
So that's done with an acrylic, half of it painted, half of it not, with LEDs in there. And that's just ran on a battery pack, of course. But you know, with that, we could have it where the door striker's open, it turns on, or have a separate control where you can change the lighting and everything like that. So we get to do some fun stuff. Same thing on this truck. You can kind of see the dished out shape. You can see the bolster where you have a tall bolster, but it's not really hindering the getting in and out as much. And Stephanie, I think we were talking earlier about different colors and stuff, right? Yeah. So I'm really into single tone on cars, just to make them timeless. Like the Chevy, right? No, yes. Yes. But just, it's all single tone, red, you know, gonna be timeless. But then from there, what we like to do is add different textures.
Yep.
Different textures being all brown. This is a square AMG Mercedes perforation in here, so we'll add that to it to give it a little bit more texture. You could do the same color hue Alcantara in there as well. Usually you want to do like either three colors or three types of textures into when you're designing an interior. Trying to get away from people that just do all kinds of wild colors and everything else.
Yeah, go look at the passenger seat on this red 111 RS, and you'll see that was one of the first things that we did together. There's multiple different materials that we were using, but it's all monochromatic black. But check it out, and it's cool.
Where it's not going to just stand out. So we'll build all of our own center consoles. Again, this truck came with no center console. He wanted a backup camera. We integrated kind of a cool cup holder. That's off of like I think that was a late model Chevy or something like that as well. Just try to do something a little bit different, but not over the top. And then I know you were talking about different techniques of this leather little logo here is laser engraved, which is kind of cool. Not for everybody. I'm not super huge into branding everything, that's for sure, but this is just a portion of a dash. We'll get something like this in, and it's just like, oh, how do we do that? How do we cover that? So some of these builders, they'll build stuff and it's like, make it look like, come on, guys. Again, this is just a pot off of it, but you can see all the how many different materials, layers that it takes to get it to all fit as a one unit. And this, that's all out of this truck here. Again, this thing, I heard numbers up to like $800,000 this customer had into this truck. Yeah, wild stuff. So same thing, this thing cruise down the street, or blow through Baja. And this guy is Keith O'Neill from O'Neill Off-Road Apparel. So all the off-road boots and helmets. His dad started it and stuff. But I mean, you guys know suspension here. So center mounted A-arms, obviously a little bit different, a little bit more body roll on something like this than some of the leases. But I mean, the pivot points on this thing is just wild. Again, nothing upholstery related, but just showing that upholstery, usually on trucks like this back in the day, they didn't care. They threw in some PRP aftermarket seats, called it a day. But people are really trying to refine these things. This is with the hood off on this thing, and it's, you can see with the headers in there and the shock setup and wild stuff. And we'll do a couple more pictures and then we'll be done here, guys. So this is that same dash that I showed you earlier, and just how many different layers were in this thing was a handful of you, to say the least. And this guy, so this being, you can see the headliner on here is what we call, you'd say, oh, cool, it's got an Alcantara headliner. No, Keith O'Neill actually supplied us with all the material because he's like, hey, we use microfiber on different gloves and stuff like that. So he wanted to use all of his own materials. He's like, okay, if you know your materials, okay, let's go for it. No warranty. But you see the handles even, assist handles to get in and out are all leather wrapped and hand stitched. We did use our own leather. He brought some leather, and I straight up told him, no, we're not going to use this. There's just no reason to. It's junk leather, and we're very sad about it. But. And then some more like kind of stock stuff, and then we will wrap up, I think, after this. Let's see. Steering wheels, we do a lot of steering wheels, something a lot of places don't do because they are a handful to do, no pun intended. This is a dashboard out of a Mercedes, newer SL55, and what we talked about with leather, all the treatment is, heat resistance, water resistant, not waterproof, not heat proof. So anything with a leather dash, we really, really recommend using a sunshade for the dashboard, because the heat, especially out here, will shrink them. All the manufacturers, Mercedes, Lamborghini, we have a Lamborghini dash in right now. Every Ferrari, but when they go to cut the leather, they just barely cut it right past an overhang if it's a speaker grill or whatever it is, and then over time it will shrink. And so what we do is we'll wrap it around, staple it whenever we can to really try to get some better adhesion. So,